Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to have Sam Rossi today. Sam, I have to tell you how I met her, but she's going to teach you guys. I want you to know that things that you're looking to have happen in your life, it can happen fast or it can happen slow. And so one day, a few months ago, I was at the gym and I was thinking to myself, it could happen fast. Things could happen fast. Things can happen so quick. Then I go on Instagram and I see Will Smith and I see Will Smith doing a side-by-side video talking about some cool something and with his Oscar, and there is Sam, and he's doing a side by side with Sam. And I'm like, exactly, that was evidence things can happen fast. So I started following her. I joined all her programs, I bought her books, and I'm so delighted to introduce y'all to her. She's going to teach you how you can live in this thing which she and her partner call phase 2. So Sam, take it away. Tell us what was that like having Will Smith do a co side by side with you?
So funny that you mentioned how quickly things can happen, because at that point, just to give some context in my experience before that happened, I was like doing okay on social media. I had 3,000 or so followers on Instagram, posting content, fine, whatever. And I was really bored, just constantly bored all day. And I noticed that. I became aware of it. And most of phase 2, if not all of it, is about awareness. So I became aware of my boredom and I was sitting with it and just allowing myself to have that experience. And I got to a point where I was okay with it. And then less than 24 hours later, I get a notification on Instagram with Will Smith's username. And I was like, that's weird. Must be a fluke. Tapped on it. And sure enough, it's Will Smith doing a duet with one of my TikTok videos. And it got shared on all of his platforms. And I think it was that video and one other one that gave me somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 followers within a few days. So yeah, that was an example of how quickly things can change. And for me, it was almost like I wasn't surprised, because I knew that at the point that happens, that things can just shift like this. It's just that you never know what's going to happen. And if you're not aware, you can miss out on a lot of stuff that is already happening for you. So that's another key to phase 2.
That's a gem. So what is phase 2?
So phase 2 is using your feelings to create your experience. A lot of mainstream teachings talk about mindset work and all this complicated stuff like chakras, karmic stuff, body work, breath work, energy work. It's a lot. But if you just take it back and kind of pay attention to what you feel, you can be guided throughout your entire life to these experiences that you can't even imagine for yourself with your ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about your feelings. So that's phase 2. That's just coming back to what you have energy about.
So cool. So tell us, I know I read your book and you guys all need to get it and we'll put the link in here. But tell us the story about how you got into phase 2 and how you met your partner and how he got into it.
Oh, this is such a cool story. I love it. Okay, so it's kind of long, but I'll give the long version. So my partner, Andre, who I'm working with to build this phase 2 brand, and he taught me phase 2. He was mentored by his mentor, Peter, 14 years ago now. And they met each other coincidentally. Now, there are no real coincidences, but the way it would seem was coincidental. And they ended up having this 3-year-long mentorship where Peter taught Andre all of these concepts and things that just aren't common knowledge or public information, like the feelings thing. And it's so much more than that. There's a lot to it. But this is why I say phase 2 is a secret of the wealthy, because it literally is. It's something that's been passed down from mentor to mentee for centuries, if not longer. And we're kind of the first, if not the only ones, to make it more public. But anyway, cool. Back to the story. Yeah, right? I think that's so cool.
That's way cool.
Right? So Andre's mentored by Peter, and he, learns all this stuff and kind of applying it here and there for 13 years. And I met Andre it would have been 10 years. It's 13 years now. I met Andre in 2019 through a sales course that we took together. And he was just like a rock star at everything he did. And I thought that was so cool. And we ended up starting a relationship, spending a lot of time together, and we went through.
He froze. It's going to be good.
I don't know what it was. I can't even explain it.
Okay.
We get out of that situation together. And within like, I don't know, 4 months or so, I watched him go from having no money to making $500,000. And I was like, how did you do that?
Right?
How did
No
you do
money to
that
$500,000.
in 4 months? Yeah. And he
Who
used
wants
what he
that?
learned.
Raise your hand. Who wants that? We're gonna keep
Yeah.
listening. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He used a lot of the stuff he learned during the sales course. So I just think he's some kind of like superhuman, but it was really just him following his feelings and following what he felt intuitively guided to do. And it just exploded for him so quickly, like we were talking about at the beginning. And I, being fairly stupid, insisted that I could figure it out myself. And it took me 3 years to finally just stop trying and ask him for help. And that was in October or September, rather, last year, 2022. So this is where it gets crazy for me. I was still struggling up until that point in September. And when I finally asked him for help, we had just both read Busting Loose from the Money Game. And I remarked to Andre, this kind of sounds a lot like stuff you know about. And
Right.
he's like, yeah, I've known all of this for years.
Yeah.
And that was when we kind of realized that we could be on the same page because I had just started to learn it through Busting Loose. And so I started paying attention to what he was trying to teach me. And within 4 weeks, I had my first $10,000 month from like zero, almost nothing.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah. So in October, we launched the phase 2 stuff, the books, the community, and it's just been amazing since then. Really fun, really
Really
awesome.
fun. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So it kind of cut out. It paused, but just to backtrack in case someone didn't get this. So there was a season where you guys went through a rough patch where things weren't working at all. And then
Yeah.
something happened with him where he went from very, very, very little nothing to 500K. That's the
Yes.
essence of that. Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. So how many of you listening have had a season where it's gone like this, especially if you're an entrepreneur? I know I have. I actually wrote a book called End Your Money Drama. So I get it. So you go down
Yeah.
and then you go up. And so he did this and you did this through following your feelings. Like if someone's listening, what do you mean by that? Like, can you give us an example of what that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. So the main thing about phase 2 is simplicity. So if we talk about intuition, we talk about emotion, we talk about energy, we talk about feelings, that's all the same thing. It's just what you feel, the energy in your body. It's all the same thing. So when I say follow your feelings, what I mean is follow your intuition. Pay attention to what gives you energy. It's all the same thing. It's just that we generally disregard this, or we distract ourselves. We eat food when we feel something, even if we're not hungry. We go to the gym to get rid of these feelings. Those are all your intuitive guidance. It's all your energy, and energy is money. It's all the same thing. It's just that we're constantly ignoring it. So
So
that's how it
simple.
works.
That's so simple.
Yeah.
So I know that
Mhm.
you've named your intuition Bella. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So that's so fun. So from a practical sense, we could name our intuition something and it's almost like its own identity. And we go with that. We follow it. We follow. And is that what you do every day? You're like, hey Bella, what do you want to do today?
Yeah, it's yeah, my intuition named itself. I asked it what
Okay.
name it wanted, and it said Bella. But yeah, the main question that I ask usually is, would it be fun for me to do this? So when we think of following our intuition, and I've described it this way in the past, we think of getting instructions like step-by-step stuff. But even then, that's still ignoring your experience. So a better way to communicate with your intuition is noticing what's going on around you and paying attention to what you feel like doing. Like maybe for someone, it could be going to the park or going to test drive a new car, just, whatever comes up, and asking your intuition, would it be fun for me to do this? And then you get a yes or a no, or maybe a maybe later answer. And it's that simple. You really can have a life that's full of just doing fun stuff all the time. It's still intuitively guided, but we complicate things like we do with everything else. So it's that simple. I just ask what would be fun for me to do, and I do it.
What would be fun for me to do? How fun. I love that. And so what are some of the crazy things that you've done that were fun?
Oh my God. admittedly, like fun is a really interesting topic because everyone has their own idea about what is fun, but that limited idea of fun just shuts you off from experiencing so many other things that would also be fun. So what I've done that's been really interesting is start to let go of my expectations of what would be a really good time. And a good example of that is the phase 2 house experience that I've created for myself right now. If you've seen my YouTube channel, we have a 3-bedroom apartment with me, Andre, and his 2 mentees, Megan and Mandy, and Megan's baby rather. And I
Yeah.
told myself for a long time, oh my God, it sucks to have roommates. I don't want to have any housemates. I'm too old for that. I have
Right.
more money than I need, to have housemates, whatever. And I insisted that it wasn't fun, which obviously when I'm insisting that, it makes it not fun. So I'm starting to really let go of that and noticing that it actually is so much fun. And it's probably exactly what I wanted for myself. Not probably, it is exactly what I wanted for
Yeah.
myself. Because if I didn't want it, it wouldn't be happening. But that's a pretty good example lately. But to kind of go back to what I was saying about fun, it's been like 9, 10 months now since I started this phase 2 thing, am really starting to let go of my expectations of what fun is. And if you don't do that, you're really cutting yourself off.
Right. That's
Yeah.
cool. So, and in phase 2, because I'm in your community, you accept everything.
Yeah.
You just accept it how it is, even if it's really crappy, something bad happens. So you're removing the resistance
Yes.
and you're just accepting. And so that's been huge for me. Just like well, there's nothing I can do. Let's just accept it.
Mhm.
And a lot more freeing than pushing and pushing and fighting to get my way. So
Yes.
thank you for that. So tell us, what is money in phase 2? Because a lot of people here want to make money. This podcast is called Speak and Grow Rich. So
Mhm.
what does money mean in this phase 2?
I love this. So you may have heard, and your audience may have heard someone say money is energy, energy is money, whatever. A lot of people, when they talk about that, they go into frequency and things like that. You got to be on the frequency of wealth or whatever. That's complicated. We don't do that
Right.
here. Money is energy, like I was talking about earlier, with everything, your intuition, your feelings, your emotions, the energy in your body is all the same thing. That's money. It's just that when you go through your experience and you're disregarding what gives you energy and you're just doing the same things over and over again based on what your ego tells you to do or your conditioned behavior or whatever habits, you're ignoring your energy. You're also ignoring your money. So what else could you do? When you pay attention to what gives you energy, or energy eggs, like I've referred to in my content more recently, when you pay
Yeah.
attention to what gives you energy, you take that energy and you do something with it. Maybe you feel inspired to make a piece of content, or you feel inspired to call a friend or reach out to a connection or work on a project. That is money. You don't have to know where or how the money comes in, but what you're doing is using your energy and following your intuition at the same time, and money handles itself after that. When we're being control freaks and needing to know where our money is coming from and complicating the experience of money, we try to
Yes.
force it and control it. And that's why we struggle with it. But when you let that go, you trust your intuition, you trust yourself, you appreciate yourself, and you follow your energy, money can't do anything but work itself out and expand.
Okay, you tapped on, like, I'm getting excited just talking about this. I'm
That's energy. Yeah, it's feelings.
like,
Yeah.
oh, so exciting. But okay, I'm a recovering, or I'm aware that I've had experiences of wanting to control. Anyone else watching, like, want to control, and it's a fear mechanism, it's a coping mechanism. So talk to us about control. What does that mean? It's like the little girl wants to be safe, so she controls. And I think our logical school system has also taught us how to control. So what are your thoughts on that? What is
Yeah.
control and why do we have it?
So, a fundamental idea within phase 2 is that we created this human experience to experience limitation and struggle and just making things difficult generally, because we're all consciousness, which is unlimited. It can create anything like this. This is a simulation. So, with that in mind, when we are trying to control and struggle and experience fear mechanisms and things, we're not doing anything wrong. We're doing exactly what we came here to experience. You touched on acceptance before and appreciation. That's where the acceptance and appreciation comes in. When you're doing the control thing, when you're afraid, when you're in fear, in resistance, you are playing the human game exactly the way it was meant to be played. And that's
Okay.
really cool. That's really interesting. So you can appreciate yourself for that and say,
Right.
wow, I'm getting myself. I'm tricking myself into thinking that there's a problem. I'm
Yes.
successfully creating the illusion of difficulty. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
So you're basically saying that's the phase one. So you're
Yeah,
appreciating the fact that you're playing out the humanness of your phase one.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Without judgment, just like, wow, that's so cool. Yeah. I remember in your membership site, which I recommend everyone join, there's this, someone was like giving themselves an award and they named this part of themselves. And they're like, I don't remember what it was, but it was so creative and fun. So let's talk about appreciation and something about like Andre talks about money as appreciation. And maybe you've said that, but I'm in like this phase two vortex. So I'm like, talk to us about appreciation and money.
Yeah, appreciation and money go hand in hand. So appreciation is just generally appreciating yourself for everything that you are. And you don't have to know what you are. You don't have to define yourself. You are a blank slate. If you allow yourself to be a blank slate, you could be literally anything. And the appreciation is that awareness. Just this experience that I'm having is all because of me. It's all for me. No matter what's happening, even the people that I think have nothing to do with me, the things that are happening over there that I read about, that's still me. I created it. It's all me. I am just infinitely powerful. I am everything. Money works out for me because I'm me. Like that's it. I don't have any problems because I'm me. Why would I have problems? I have friends because I'm me. I don't need a
Yep.
reason. Like that's it. That's self-appreciation. And that's the language of expansion and the foundation of allowing yourself to have and experience money. If you don't have self-appreciation, you definitely don't appreciate or experience money.
And so many people get hung up with not appreciating themselves. So what about worth? A lot of men and women, they struggle with subconsciously, I don't feel worthy. Like they're not like, I don't feel worthy, but they don't allow themselves to receive because of a worth issue. What is your thought on worth?
Ooh, this is a fun one. From a phase two perspective, there's no such thing as the subconscious mind, no subconscious hangups. If someone
Really?
is,
I love
yeah,
that. Okay.
if someone's experiencing the idea of being worthless or not worth something, they are creating that because it gives them energy. It makes them feel something. Every time they think about it, they get this rush like, oh, I got to fix myself. I got to do something about it. That's the same energy I'm talking about that creates money. But when you're thinking about yourself that way, of course, you're not going to do anything about it. You're not going to follow your intuition. All the experiences that we have, we put there because we wanted to experience it. So turning off self-worth or a lack of self-worth rather is as simple as acknowledging that you like that experience. You get a rush from it every single time you think about it.
It goes back to
Accepting it.
appreciation. You appreciate
Mhm.
yourself for having that experience of
Yes.
control or worth or enough or woo, is anyone else mind blown? Like so cool. So let's talk about I listened to Kevin Trudeau's, if you're familiar with him. He wrote a book called, I think it's called Your Wish Is Your Command back in the day. Have you heard of him?
I've heard
And
of him. I'm not familiar with his work.
it's a very similar situation where it was passed down from these different mentors. And so how did phase two play out in Peter's life? Like what was his life and his friends and his experience like?
Oh boy, Peter. So I never knew him. He passed away before I met him, got to meet him. But from what I've heard Andre talk about, Peter did whatever he wanted to do in every sense of the word. He had a partner. They weren't married or anything, but they were like best friends. They enjoyed their time together. They were free to do whatever they wanted with other people, and they knew that it didn't mean anything. They didn't have any sexual hangups or limitations in that area. And with regard to Peter's friends, he had a massive network of people who were also in phase two, and he would throw parties once every 4 months or so, 3 months or so. And people would just come and be whoever they are. Whereas in their normal lives, outside of the parties, they're playing a role. At Peter's parties, they could just express themselves freely. No, there was no music, there was no theme, there's no distractions. It's just a people in a room being themselves. So that was part of Peter's experience that he really enjoyed. And that's also a source of a lot of the money that he created for himself.
And
Yeah.
they were like very wealthy people that had appreciation of money in a very big way.
Absolutely. Yeah. People who knew that money is an illusion. It's unlimited. It's a reflection of what you do with your energy. That's it. Nothing more.
Right. That's cool. So he would have these parties. It's really cool. I actually just came back from Sun Valley, Idaho, where it's called the Allen Company, where all these billionaires, all the people that rule, the 1% of the 1% were all in this community. Was staying in this resort where I was staying, and it was just like to think about their mindset, and I'm thinking, I wonder if they're living in phase two. These are like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. I don't even know all these people, but the guy that created ChatGPT, he was there. And so do you think they're living in phase two? Like the high level creators or
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I don't know
no?
if I should talk. Well, yes.
Yeah, do
Phase
it.
two. So there is so much more to this experience than we realize. Talking about phase two, like I do on social media, is just like the surface level.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that, if we look at the human experience in terms of games, the human experience is a game itself, and there are sub games within the game. The money game is an example, the relationships game is an example. People who are billionaires and the ones who rule the world, the elite, the 1%, whatever, are playing their own game. Now, there's still you. There's still you. There's still consciousness. There's still just a different aspect of you, but they're playing their own game. So they're aware of this. And they can't affect you unless you tell yourself that they can. So,
Right.
Hopefully that answers your question. But yeah.
Right. That's cool. I get what you're saying. I don't give them too much energy, but it was just cool to think because I felt like anyway. Side note from that other book, Kevin Trudeau, who is now in jail because he was giving health information, and now he's in jail because it went against what the world wanted to hear. So awesome. So what's next for you? What's your vision here with phase two? Like, where do you, intuitively see this going? Or maybe you don't even have that.
I have no expectations, and I'm aware that whatever I could come up with about this is just a fraction of what's possible. Like whatever you can imagine for yourself is not even close to what's possible for you. But I see this being huge. I don't know. That's it. Like I just think that it's so different than what other people are teaching, and I feel so blessed isn't the word. I did this for myself. This is the experience that I came here to have. I think it could be massive. I don't know. That's all I can really say about it. Yeah.
I do too. When I found you and just how it just popped. So you had 3,000 people on Instagram, and now I think you're over 30,000. So
20. Yeah, I posted a picture of my I posted a picture of myself sitting on a cake, and I lost about 7,000 followers from that, but that's irrelevant.
That is, you were just following your intuition.
I was.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, but just from the concept, just considering that, you guys, it could happen so fast. Now, are you really active on TikTok? Is that your main jam?
I am. I wouldn't say it's my main. I kind of post once a day, at least on both platforms. But yes, TikTok, and we also have a YouTube channel as well.
Okay, cool. And then where can we follow you, find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so my username on Instagram and TikTok is Sam is a brand, and on YouTube, did I say Instagram and TikTok? Yeah, on YouTube it's the Phase 2 House, and that's all linked on both of my social media platforms.
That's fun. The Phase 2 House. I love it. So does Peter have other proteges as well, or are you guys like the main front runners here with this?
Yeah, he had I think 5 or 6 mentees. Andre was one of them. And they are out there in the world using Phase 2. All of them are extremely wealthy. Andre is the only one who took on his own mentees. Yeah.
Why did he want to do that?
it was intuitively guided. He resisted it for a long time, but then it kind of got to a point where his intuition was like, you're going to do this, whether you like it or not. So that's when it started to unfold. And he's having a really good time with it now.
Right
But it
on.
was,
Well, I'm really, really grateful. Thank you,
yeah.
Sam. What a great day. Okay, to connect with you. So follow her on the interwebs. Thank you so much for watching. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye for now.